Tom Foreman joins us with a closer look at the layout of the terminal and why the killers chose to strike where they did. Tom, walk us through or give us a sense of where everything happened.
Yeah, think about what Ivan just said here. This is where ISIS is strong, over in this area. This is about 800 miles away up here to Istanbul, and yet, for a while, ISIS seemed happy to use this as an entry point for people to come down here. Now this signals something very different. Let's move into the terminal and talk about it. All the security we've heard about on the road coming in. Security, obviously, to keep people away from the planes, and the security that we don't really see in this country to keep you out of the terminal. It looks like the attacks took place right here. This looks like the first explosion, sort of right in the middle. The second one seems to have been somewhere over here. And if there was a third explosion, we don't know exactly where that is yet. Look at some of the details of that, Anderson, because that will tell you a little bit about where they went. This is the first one. We believe the first one. On a normal day, this is an arrival section. It's on the lower level. And people would be gathered here to meet people coming off planes, as you would expect. Look at the video. Here are the people standing around in that area. It doesn't seem to be a lot of agitation in the moments before you see the blast. But then look at the blast, Anderson, right in the middle of it all. There, everything changes. That was pretty much in the middle of everything there, Anderson, although still not terribly far inside the doors, maybe 80 feet, but it's clearly breaching somehow that first line of security.
Do we know if the attackers got very far into the actual airport? Because that video where we see one of the gunmen being brought down and then ultimately exploding a device, that does seem to be inside a terminal or inside a structure.
That does, just like this one. I think the one we just saw was actually a little further physically inside. The second one, I mentioned, was somewhere over in this area. If you look at that area on a normal day, it would look sort of like this. And you're very close to the doors here. The place where you see the police officer shooting at the gunman appears to come around here. The police officer seems to be right in here, and he encounters him in this area. Look at that explosion as it moves forward here. You watch that video, you see that location, the police officer tucks in here, the gunman comes around the side, you see him moving this way, and then the police officer comes out, and down he goes, and shortly after that, the police officer comes over toward him, then he runs off, and the explosion occurs. But there's really no sign of anybody being close. But again, Anderson, really quite close to the door. So I think that first explosion, the one where all the people were gathered around, probably that's the place where they got the deepest into the airport, and there they would have had to get through some kind of security at the opening, but they didn't get to the next level of security, it doesn't seem.
We also don't know if there were other accomplices who are on the scene kind of monitoring things or orchestrating it in any way, or any kind of central control, and if any of them, if they were there, if they got away.
And that's a really excellent question right now, because we've had numerous reports today about people saying there was gunfire out here connected to the parking area. We have no confirmation of what that was, if it occurred, if people were confused or something else. Was that people coming in? Was that people going out? Was that a diversionary tactic? We don't know. So in this case, Anderson, I think that the things that need to be cleared up, we need to know where this third suicide bomber was, because it is not clear yet really, and whether or not something else was going out here, and did some people get away? Were the people in the taxis, if that was the case, were they the entire squad, or were other people somehow involved in this, Anderson?
All right, Tom Foreman, thanks for that.